So this week's Parsha, Kedoshim, comes right after the story of Acharei Mot, the death of Aaron's sons. Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, in that Parsha, in the Torah portion of last week, at least in the cycle of Torah readings, is about two people who become so inspired by what they witness in the holy that they come very close to the holy and become devoured by its intensity. And though there are many dimensions to that story, I think it's important to start there. Acharei Mot, last week, deals in a very intense way with that intensity of leading a religious life, where fervor can lead you to actually erase yourself from the world. You become so concerned, so preoccupied with that which is possible, the holy, that you lose your moorings in this world and you become devoured, consumed by that holy fire. It's tempting, it's seductive. Right after we learn about that episode and all of its complicated interpretation, we then come to Kedoshim, holy, holiness. We are called in chapter 19 of the Book of Leviticus to be holy because I, the Lord your God, am holy. And so the holiness, the structured holiness that we are led into, in a way of imitating God, is also a way of surviving, leading a holy life, and yet not erasing ourselves from the reality of this world. Because the Holiness Code, this chapter, the beginning of Kedoshim, deals with specifics of life, what we would call societal justice. Within this chapter, we have what has been known as the Golden Rule, V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. One of the hidden parts of this rule is the second half, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, that tells me, as Hillel reinterpreted it later, that which is hateful to me, I should never do to someone else. But what is also true about the verse in its original context is I need to actually take care of myself in order to know what it is I should do for someone else. Love your neighbor as yourself. Well, how well do you actually love yourself? And the balance for that comes a few verses earlier. Right in chapter 19, verse 16. The English reads, do not deal basely with your country person, your neighbor. Do not profit by the blood of your fellow. I am the Lord. And so not only are you supposed to take care of yourself, you are never allowed, in pursuit of your own well-being, to profit by the blood of someone else. This week, it happens to be 2014, it's April 25th. This week is the National Convention of the NRA. They have been making the argument that responsible gun ownership does not lead to gun violence. And yet the NRA is mostly funded by those who make guns. And so it's in the NRA's best interest, I suppose, to continue the proliferation of weaponry on the streets of America. And so I think the equation is fairly simple. They do profit from the blood of their fellows. They not only profit, they lobby for more profit. And there seems to be a very, very plain verse in Leviticus that says that what they do is not what God would have them do. What they do, rooted in this earth, is saturated with blood. That is not a holy path. And so if you are a person of faith, remember the Golden Rule and its context in the Torah. You are not allowed to let yourself wither. You are not allowed to let yourself become consumed by noticing what should be in the world. You are supposed to be grounded in this world and to never allow your groundedness to lead you to ignore the blood of your fellow. We've got work to do. This weekend, I truly hope that the NRA lives up to what it says its mantra is, which is responsibility. Because until this point, the 31,000 people in America who lose their lives to guns every year, that's their responsibility too.